Welcome to MxM Live. Last week we got this message from Cannes Lion that in its creativity report of the decade, Ogilvy Mumbai has earned the top position as the most creative agency of the decade amongst Indian agencies. Additionally, the Savlon Healthy Hands Chopsticks campaign, for which Ogilvy had won the Creative Effectiveness Grand Prix, features amidst the iconic work in this report. To discuss the Ogilvy India way of doing advertising, we have here with us Piyush Pandey, Executive Chairman, India, and Worldwide Chief Creative Officer of Ogilvy; Sukesh, Nayak, Chief Creative Officer, Ogilvy India; and Kainaz, Karmakar, and Harshad, Rajadhyaksha, also Chief Creative Officers of Ogilvy India. Welcome to MxM Live. Now, I did this dipstick study amongst some non-A&M folk, and when I asked them the name of one agency that they associated with creative agencies, the name was Ogilvy. And for creative gurus, the first name was that of Piyush Pandey. So in many ways, a no-brainer. What's your view, Piyush, is the fact that Ogilvy was the most creative agency of the decade amongst Indian agencies, a no-brainer?
To call this a no-brainer would be a very complacent statement, and I wouldn't say that. I think it's our constant search for doing work which is noticed, and we began way back to more than 2 decades back of getting recognized by the masses of the people, and slowly it traveled, and it's the same piece of work that the world took notice of. And today, when we did 10 years of fairly consistent work with some campaigns really standing out and being called iconic by the world, it's a great feeling. It's a reminder to you that tomorrow is another day and you're batting on zero. So idea is to not call it a no-brainer and start working towards the next decade.
And some of your very iconic campaigns that we've seen and that got Ogilvy into the limelight and made it a very buzzy agency were actually happened before a decade. So in that sense, this speaks more for the work done.
Yeah, it's every decade matters. That's for sure. And some of the work of ours, which really doesn't travel so much, but it's work that we are very proud of. Like the work on Red Label and the kind of work that we do for Mondelez, a hell of a lot of them, they don't travel, but they travel to 1.3 billion people. And that's what matters to us. And then some of the work is of the kind that travels internationally. So we are proud of every piece of work, but we are also very proud of this worldwide recognition.
And then there's this the Savlon Healthy Hands Chopsticks campaign, which has done so well. Kainaz and Harshad, what do you all think about that? It's a great achievement to have been called iconic work, and of course, it has won several awards. Your views on that accolade?
Harshad, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. No, obviously, I mean, like we said, this year didn't have a Cannes festival, and this report came sort of out of the blue. And to see amongst other campaigns of Ogilvy worldwide, also our campaign from our India office featured over there. I mean, obviously, it is a matter of huge delight and pride, not just for us, but for our client teams also. So yes, I mean, it really is, like you said, it's a marker of certain things done well, and more than anything else, it's an inspiration point that, hey, this should only be the start, and we should be studying the reports to come with many such landmarks. So it's a starting point, it's an inspiration point, and this is something to keep doing again and again.
I think Harshad has said it very well. And there are 2 things I want to say. First thing is that there was a team that really worked on it, and I want to give full credit to that. And my creative team, my planning team, my servicing team, they really put their hearts into making this campaign happen. So I really want to thank them on camera right now. And the other thing I want to say, and which gives us tremendous joy, is in the morning when I woke up when the news came, and Harshad normally informs me of everything because I wake up late and he wakes up early, so he gets all the news first. So when I woke up, of course, I saw Harshad's message, and same time, right under Harshad's message was a message from my client saying, "Have you seen this?" And I saw it, and it gave me tremendous joy that our clients are taking so much pride in this, and they had written a beautiful message along with it, and that really made our day, because honestly, when you want to do work, it was not an easy thing to come out with. Our clients worked very, very hard to make sure that it is safe, to make sure that it works, and stuff like that. So you cannot do work like this if you don't have teams like we had, and if you don't have clients like we have.
Sukesh, what is your view? Being part of an agency which is a powerhouse and which is winning so many awards, your works have also done so fantastically well. What does it really mean for someone in an agency who's winning awards and who's getting accolades? And as I said, when I did a dipstick, the first word that came to people's mind was, as far as agencies are concerned, creative agencies are concerned, is Ogilvy.
See, it's 2 decades for me in Ogilvy. I started here, and Piyush says I started very young here. That's what he says, the joke that he has. I feel that we've been extremely fortunate to have captains before us who set the benchmark for those decades when we were learning. And we saw the craft, we learned something. Today, we are doing work with people who are younger than us and our teams across the agency. And it is such a beautiful canvas, with so many brilliant people who have, and each one has added something magical to it. And I think the best thing that Piyush said, it's a journey of creativity where problems will be very, very interesting as we go down the line. And it's the creative solution or the ideas that really stand out at any given point in time. It was earlier something else, today something else. So what really makes me proud is that as an agency, as a team, the body of work that we create, you can't pinpoint. You cannot define Ogilvy as one kind of an agency. It just keeps changing, and it changes with the problem. And the best part is ideas come from, teams which are sometimes not just creative teams. That's what exactly makes me so proud, that sometimes idea comes from our planning guys, okay? Sometimes idea comes from our servicing guys saying, hey, how about this? And I say, wow, it's amazing, let's do it. So, it's really, it's a fantastic 20-year journey for me. And I'm so happy to be part of this incredible team of creative, okay? Not just creative, but the whole agency is creative. And that's what really makes me happy.
Piyush, Kainaz mentioned about how the client messaged her about the award. Now, according to you, have clients got more active and more participative in the entire process of advertising? The ownership, has it increased, or was it always the same, say 30 years back and what it is now?
I think, Pradyuman, our experience at Ogilvy is they've always been engaged. And I'll give you a wonderful example I'll never forget in my life. There are times when a client of ours has won something fantastic, and we have been their partners, and we have received bottles of champagnes from other clients for winning this. Now, this is the involvement. So if I see that the agency is one for 4 clients, there were 12 clients who are sending you bottles of champagnes and flowers. Now, if that is not involvement, nothing is involvement. Your clients want you to succeed. Obviously, they want you to succeed on their brands, but they also clap for you when you win for anything. So, end of the day, if the clients are not involved, we don't exist. And we respect that right from day one. And therefore, we're very proud of the fact that some of our clients have been with Ogilvy before I was born. For instance, Mondelez. That time, Cadbury's.
Right.
Just want to add here, Pradyuman, very interesting thing what we mentioned right now. Clients have their own internal awards, and you must know about that, right? So, which is not really figures in any creative award, but they have the internal award. The incredible part is how proud they are when they win internally. How they they share and they invite us to their own functions, and it's incredible when they win somewhere, in different part of the world. It could be middle of the night in India, but they will send you a text that this piece of work got us the number one or the best work in their global agency system. India won the best piece of work, and we are so proud to be part of this team. Sometimes we are not there with them, but they make it a point to send you a message or call you at whatever time of the night or day it is, and they make you part of their own celebrations also. That's incredible.
Harshad, do you have a great client story to tell?
Oh yeah, I mean, just in this instance, let me say this is actually a year before 2018, which is 2018 was the year of the Creative Effectiveness Grand Prix, of course. But from our team ITC, which was in the year 2017, when the whole team was elated for all the initial wins on Savlon chalk. So at about 7:45 in the morning, of course, because the news would trickle in late in the night, and most of India would wake up to the wins from the previous night. And when the overall haul happened of X number of lions, that I think it was 7 lions which the piece won, we got frantic messages from our servicing counterparts. Usually, conference calls are called in by clients to address some immediate fire or some emergency that needs. At 7:45 in the morning, we got frantic calls saying, right from the senior most client down to the client team of some 7 people at the client's end and some 8 people at the agency end, we were all patched in through calls that the client wants urgently to speak to you all, and usually it's a sign of crisis. We were all hoping to started by congratulating each other by saying, hello, whatever the matter is, congrats to start with. But we realized that here was a client holding a flash conference call meeting simply to congratulate the agency and say that we have never had this feeling before in life. And thank you for introducing us to winning this phenomenon called CAN. And we want to keep supporting you all on every such kind of work. I mean, that was overwhelming. That's my client story.
Kainaz, apart from what you messaged the other day, any other client story to talk about the client involvement and the engagement with the entire creative process?
So I think we have some really fabulous clients, and honestly, we were talking to Piyush 2 days back, and we were talking about how fortunate we are in that respect, and we must acknowledge the fact that we are really sort of lucky to have such wonderful clients supporting us, and it's always been the case. For example, like Piyush said, that when you win something, there were so many other clients who congratulate us and they message us and things like that. And the other wonderful thing that I've realized during this lockdown, and I think that is a really nice thing that I want to say. It's not a particular client story, but I've seen that, so many clients have supported us beautifully in terms of work, in terms of understanding that, work will take a certain time, or, the standards of production will change, and the kind of support they've given us. I think years of partnership that we have had, and the culture that we have had of work first and client, great work for and making the client through great work is really something that I'm very, very proud of.
I'll say the amount of work that you all have produced during the lockdown has been amazing. I've got more communiques from Lorraine's, outbox in this last 3 months than ever before. So, from the Asian Paints ad to the various others that you all have. So, how do you all manage? I'm sure you all don't, you all also are interacting with each other via Zoom calls or whatever other video communication tools. So is there some kind of a concerted effort to be able to do something for the client, or the clients also want to do in this lockdown period? Or would you say this is business as usual in terms of the kind of output that you all have had?
Can I try and address that?
Yeah, please.
See, any adversity and tough times brings hurdles together. Absolutely. When you want your team together, when you want to address issues together. At one level, we huddle with our people, our clients huddle with us. And adversity is the greatest opportunity of knowing each other better, of learning and understanding and being sensitive to each other's degree of difficulty better and working together. So yes, we have been able to bring out a lot of stuff that our clients needed and a lot of stuff that we believe that as a responsible agency, we should be doing for the nation. So we've been doing a lot of work, and wait for another 24 hours, you'll see one more coming up, which is not commissioned by anybody, but we think it is our responsibility to chip in times like these. So yes, to answer your basic question, have we spoken to each other more often than we normally do? Yes. Have we spoken to our clients more often? Yes. And we've all learned that a lockdown can restrict your feet to a location. It can't restrict your mind, your heart, and your ability to do things.
Absolutely.
Technology enables it.
Absolutely.
But being people who actually do the work, the nuts and bolts, how has it been for actually getting the work done in terms of the fact that everybody is sitting separately? You have to get shoots done. You've done some interesting campaigns which are more than just home videos that have been produced. One is home videos, and the other is work which could pass off as something which has been done in non-lockdown times.
I think we left home videos way behind. If you ask me, we started, I think we spoke much more amongst ourselves. We connected, and through, talking to each other, we actually upskilled ourselves. When you find yourself really constrained because of, certain timeline, but if you see the work that's coming out in the last 1.5 months, home videos have gone way behind. They've been left way behind because if you look at the work, you really can't tell. I think that what you said, you can't really tell. Is it a project done in a normal time? Because with all the restrictions, with all the permissions and all of the, it's like some projects have been done in different cities across literally. So while without leaving this chair, sitting on this chair, all of us, wherever we are, we have collectively created work because what we have is most interesting for me has been like a family. We've been together even in these hard times with the clients, the conversations that we had, the discussions we've had, what solutions we can provide for them. And that has really, to have a seat on the table, to be able to discuss together and come to a solution together and allow us the freedom to create projects and work that really solve the problem in the most magical manner. That's what I think just being connected with each other has managed or helped us to create the kind of work we've done.
Pradyuman, if
the entire process of I remember reading and watching an interview of yours, Piyush, after one of the campaigns, and where there was a mention made about how clients also are not possibly as demanding about the nitty-gritty as they always are. So, Kainaz, have you had any experience of clients possibly being less demanding in terms of the finer details as they were earlier?
Yeah. So first, I agree with Sukesh that in the beginning, it was all user-generated content and stuff like that. But that had changed. And this is where I was talking about the client partnership, how fast our clients understood that, okay, this is the way to shoot. So for example, when you're shooting a normal film, it will take you a day to shoot a film about a husband and a wife. But in a lockdown, it could take you as much as 2.5 days, because what happens is typically we are all either on a Zoom call or on WhatsApp, and we are being sent shots, and those shots are being approved. Then the feedback is being given to the director. Then the director is giving the feedback to them, and clients are being very understanding about that. And another thing that I also believe is clients are also being responsible. I think that when we are communicating something, that clients are being sensitive, and together we are deciding that whether this is the right thing to tell the consumer. Are we scaring them by saying this? No, we should not be doing it like this. Are we creating, are we making them overspend by doing this? I mean, these are the conversations we are having with our clients, which we have never had before. So like Piyush said, it's partnership at a different level. And you can say that is probably the silver lining to this terribly dark cloud.
this interview, of course, is not just about what you all did in the lockdown or what the process is, but is about Ogilvy Mumbai being crowned by Cannes Lions. So I want to get back to some questions around that, as to what, according to you, some of you have been with Ogilvy for many years. Some of you have moved in other agencies. So what would you say is the Ogilvy India way that is different from elsewhere?
Pradyuman, sorry, before I forget, can I just answer one point to the earlier question before we move on? We forgot to thank one very important leg of our partners who make this work happen. We are also blessed to have the most amazing friendships out there with our directors, with our photographers, with our voiceover artists who have gone out of the way, record things at home, editor cutting it in his own time, rebooting his computer in the middle of the night. So I have to give credit to them because, one is a client, one is an agency. Without our partnership with some of the leading names in this country, and even the people who work with them, and I especially want to thank editors and voiceover artists and all of those. I mean, it's been such a learning experience for me personally to understand what is truly a teamwork. All the work that you see, we can think of all the ideas. It's so easy to think of an idea, but without the support of the client and without there have been some projects which have been like a science project. Remind me of science project in school. कि इसको ऐसे बिठाएंगे इतने height पे कि वो match करेगा इस height पे opposite axis में. We will never discuss those things. So sorry to cut your question, but I just wanted to bring that. I was on mute earlier, but it's very important that I want to thank them for their support to us for making all this happen.
Thank you, Sukesh, for adding this. Very important.
I think the entire ecosystem has got together, and I think that that's the case for all businesses, but more so in your business where you're working with people from within the team and you're working for people from outside. So to that. So I'm going to come back to this question about the Ogilvy way, and I'm sorry to put you all into a spot, Harshad and Kainaz, but you all are newer entrants to the Ogilvy family than, of course, Piyush and Sukesh. So
see, they are best placed to answer this question. I can tell you the difference between a tea company and an advertising agency.
No, so rightfully, we will take this question up, Pradyuman. But see, I'll go first, Kainaz.
Yeah, sure.
So while Kainaz and I have this long-standing joke that we have spent a decade over here, yet it seems like we have just been in this place. Abhi join kiya hai, क्योंकि the kind of bond that I see with all of us at Ogilvy, I mean, it's something intangible. And the reason we say it is Sukesh, who's in his 21st year at Ogilvy. Piyush, of course, has covered decades. Like he said, this is his one and only agency. Ogilvy and its people who love being called Ogilvy, it's a family. And you don't quit like you're there. Like, I mean, you spend about, on an average, 4 times the time one spends in your college, and you get so attached to a college. So now you can imagine. And there is this intangible bond. So while Kainaz and I have been a team prior to Ogilvy days, and we have been looking at Ogilvy from the outside. Back then, the only term for Ogilvy, and I haven't seen any creative force in this country or even abroad enjoy this kind of a tenure of being on the top of the creative function. And that means only one thing. It's not an effort, it's an everyday way of life at Ogilvy. I mean, some of the things that you said in lockdown are also a result where what happens behind the scene is, because I think Ogilvy embraces a culture of creativity at the smallest things. Even in our interaction with directors, partners, client partners, production partners, those same creative ways of, can we do this differently so that it looks effortless? Can we abide by all the rules of lockdown and yet make it seem like, it's so effortless? I think that creativity comes to the table for each and every function. We realized this when we were on the outside. The only way, I mean, Kainaz and I often quipped and joked and had analogies about it. We would call Ogilvy Team Australia because they were the reigning champions of cricket then, and they were the team to beat. And one day, when Abhijit Awasthi gave us the chance to actually wear the Ogilvy jersey, Kainaz and I said, screw everything else. एक दिन इस टीम के लिए खेल के देखना ये होता क्या है. And after the day we have stepped in, I still remember the date, 5th of May, more than a decade ago. Ogilvy is, somebody else had said this in Ogilvy, and Kainaz and I found this to be true. It's a way of life, it's a drug. It's a creative drug which keeps you intoxicated with all beautiful things. You just itch with ideas when you come into this place. It's an environment. And though I know that Piyush is here with us on the call, but I think it's only fair to say it because it's the truth. We were also mentioning to Piyush on another call the other day. I think there's a phrase, there's a beautiful quote by somebody which says, "We see further because we stood on the shoulder of giants." I mean, the trouble and the pain and the effort that Piyush and his generation have taken to lay the soil, the fertile soil that, we, like Sukesh said, Ogilvy is a journey. Sukesh has been there a decade more than us. We have joined a decade after Sukesh. But the fertility of that soil means that if you have it in you, this environment and the soil that has been created from Piyush's era will always, always, always support creativity. And the other beauty which I see, because I've worked in other agencies and then come to Ogilvy, Ogilvy does not have one standard chapa, which is, I know Ogilvy is known for creative work, and there is that Ogilvy kind of heightened creative work, but Ogilvy doesn't enforce its work on any client. Neither does it say that Ogilvy means only jungles, Ogilvy means only Hindi, Ogilvy means only anglicized work, Ogilvy means only Vodafone kind of work. We are a plethora of various creative minds coming together, and each and every genre of work has been supported by Team Piyush and the early guard of Ogilvy, and that's why we can flourish. I think that is what sets us apart.
And
yeah, I will. I think the respect that Ogilvy, like Harshad said, has enjoyed in advertising for so many years has been unparalleled. I think, and that's like Harshad said, when I was a baby in advertising, like just about starting off, everybody wanted to work with Ogilvy and Piyush. And if you ask them now in 2020, everybody will still want to work with Ogilvy and Piyush. So I think that is something that hasn't changed for 20 years, and that is incredible. And I'll just tell you a little story that when we were leaving to join Ogilvy, I was talking to Aggie, and we were working. Aggie had just quit actually JWT after that, and then I was talking to Aggie, but we were still working with him on some projects and all because he was a consultant. And he said something which really shows that what respect Ogilvy enjoys. He's like, okay, I'm really sad that you're going, but I am also really happy that you've chosen to go to Ogilvy, because that is the correct place to go, and that is the place, like Harshad said, it's a fertile soil. And if you really work hard and give it your all, you have more chances of succeeding there. And there's another thing which he told me at that time, and he said that the beauty about Ogilvy and what Piyush and his team have been able to do is, everywhere people think of ideas, but they have managed to get it out. And I think
Super.
that's why people want to be in Ogilvy. They manage to get the ideas out there.
Can I, time permitting, just had a very, very interesting anecdote over here, Pradyuman?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is something which, of course, we spoke about advertising people. I think Sukesh and Piyush have heard this once before, but I think if possible, viewers and listeners and readers need to hear this. So I won't name the agency, but of course, Kainaz and I used to work with a different agency back then. And Kainaz happened to get one of the Kalipili taxis outside Famous Studios back at Mahalakshmi. And she said, "Bhaiya, idhar chalna." So now, knowing Famous being a spot where ad filmmakers, agencies often must have been taking cabs, and regular cab walas know the kind of business background. Bombay cabbies are smart. So he started a conversation with Kainaz, which was unbelievable. Kainaz walked in a daze and told me this. Because I got into the cab and told him, yaha chalna. So he said, "Aap advertising mein hai kya?" So Kainaz was first surprised. She says, "Ha, is jagah mein ja rahi hai kya?" She said, "Yes." He said, "बुरा ना मानो तो एक चीज बोलूं, आपको ना वो पांडे जी का ऑफिस जो है ना, उनके साथ काम करना चाहिए." So Kainaz is in disbelief. He's saying, "How does he know about it?" And then he went on to say, "उसका नाम Ogilvy है, आपको उधर काम करना चाहिए, उनका काम सबसे बेस्ट है." For a minute, Kainaz is trying to see if she's part of a completely gag. She's looking for cameras, but true enough that cabbie knew that ऐसा एक जगह है जहाँ पे एक पांडे जी काम करते हैं, जहाँ पे उसका नाम Ogilvy है, और वहाँ पे आपको करना चाहिए क्योंकि वो सबसे बेस्ट काम करते हैं. This is a true incident. Kainaz, you can vouch for it.
Yeah, it was bizarre. It was stunned.
Yeah,
Like,
and this is so I asked this question which I've mentioned at the early part of the interview when I asked this question, and I asked people not from advertising but people from around my housing society, and they kind of said that if it's advertising, it must be Ogilvy. Sukesh, your thoughts on this?
see, I came here. My story is a little. I'll go back to. I was studying to be a banker. I took a sabbatical to give it a shot. I discovered an agency called Ogilvy. I stepped in here and I never left. And much to my father's, he was quite astounded, is a word I would say. Why would you, what is this business? He had no idea about it. But today I see my father following my work. He's a doctor, by the way, and he takes some things he likes, something he doesn't like, which is also quite natural. But I think, just to make a change of that kind and to have an organization where people always support you to get your work and get your ideas out and always correct you if you're wrong was very important also, because correction also is needed to keep you grounded, you see. Otherwise you can just one thing I've always kept hearing, and that's what keeps me really going, is that no matter what happens, tomorrow is another day. No matter what you do, no matter how big you become, tomorrow is another day. And just go back to the ground and start batting again from level zero. I think that's what kept me going, if you ask me honestly, because everything is awesome, but then it just goes away. It's another day. I think that's the Ogilvy culture. We don't live on what we have created, and we're very proud of it. Don't get me wrong. We love it. We go back to it. We get sentimental about it. We know we have drinks over it and we laugh over it and we, cry over it and we have jokes about it. But we come back the next day to start afresh. And that is for me Ogilvy. And that has kept me going.
The very fact that you have a Piyush Pandey there, he's there larger than life. We all know what his body of work has been over the years. Is that some kind of a pressure that you'll have? And is there a pressure? Second is, do you ever feel that he could do a better job, or you feel basically how is it to have somebody like a Piyush Pandey as the at the helm of the agency and as the creative boss, and does it really put pressure on you guys?
I'll say something which will actually Piyush will find may not people not agree. I think he's the most easiest person to approach, and that is what makes him the most amazing boss. You can call him, and he may not agree with you, and he'll scold the living daylight out of you. That's fine, but he is you can approach him anytime. He is the most accessible creative leader and a chairman, and people may find him a bit tough and very hard taskmaster, which is all good. But for me, what I really believe is that he's actually the easiest person to reach out to, and he also speaks his mind, which is what makes it incredible for us. So if he doesn't like it, he's absolutely blunt about it. There is no soft peddling. But if he loves it, at the same time, he will go to any length. And if he sees a sense of improvement, he will go to any length to make it the most awesome project without having any kind of, because I told you so, you do it like that. That is what is incredible. He is the most approachable person, according to me.
Kainaz?
Yeah, I think that, when we came into Ogilvy, Piyush was, Keenu and Rajiv were heading it, and we were very happy with Keenu and Rajiv. But you won't believe the amount of friends who would come and tell us on the floor, including Sukesh, when Piyush was on the floor, this would happen. Then he would come and then he would sit with you and then he would say, "Haan bhai, batao kya ho raha hai?" And then he would discuss a script and something magical would come out, and Harshad and I would go back and think like, I wish we worked here when Piyush was on the floor, because I think by the time we came in, he was not sitting on our floor. And that, when Piyush was on the floor, I think the magic was different. And that is something that I think Harshad and I have totally missed out on. But there is one other.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
If you look at your work, most of it has come when I was not on the floor.
I know, but I still miss the magic. But I think that I think what I absolutely love about Piyush is the fact that he's still pure work. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing in a fact that cynicism comes into people or other things come into people that has not touched Piyush through all these years. And I have come from outside, so I've worked with a lot of people, but he is still, when he hears a pure idea, he will react to it like I assume he would have reacted when he was just in charge or when he became the national head or stuff like that. And I find that great, because when he hears a great idea, he is fully with you. And I think that sometimes what happens is when you get a different role or things like that, it changes you. And I think that part of Piyush has not changed. And I always get very fascinated by it.
Harshad?
Okay, I will.
It's supposed to be a Piyush Pandey program or what is it?
No, but we are talking about the creative legacy at Ogilvy, Piyush, and this cannot be separate from that.
After you're done, Pradyuman, I hope you'll give me 2 minutes.
Of course.
So I will. Long ago, I had the fortune of working with Mahendra Singh Dhoni on one ad shoot, and just between shots, I got to ask him at that time, how did it feel when you, like, then he had just become the captain of the Indian team, and I asked him, how was it to, your first few games? And I think one of the things he mentioned was, for any newcomer, the thing would be when they step into the dressing room, the first feeling that would cross is, shucks, I'm going to be playing on the same team where Sachin is playing. I mean, that has been the feeling as far as Piyush Pandey goes. He's our boss. He's the lion backing us. And to us, as far as cricketing analogies goes, it's batting for the same team as this legend is. He's our Tendulkar of advertising and much beyond. He's got a longer tenure than Sachin, by the way, when it comes to being on top of the game. And Sachin's is the longest in cricket. But the reality of it is, I think, the joy of, while Kainaz said what she said is true, but I think luckily this decade has given us enough avenues and enough times where we could take Piyush's counsel, and Piyush was deeply involved in many of our projects also. But what we took back was the reason why Ogilvy flourishes so beautifully is Piyush loves and encourages all kinds of work. It might be, he is never shut to any new ideas. In fact, his enthusiasm for work is what we still see in 1 and 2 year old trainees in our groups. And we wish by the time we cover that kind of time in advertising, we retain even half of that enthusiasm. Ideas are what move him from 6 a.m. in the morning to 12 a.m. in the midnight. Ideas are what move him, and he's still as enthusiastic about the ideas, and he doesn't care who is coming up with the idea. As long as the idea is great, you can be assured of his complete backing for it. And that is inspiration enough.
Piyush, my question to you is, you obviously, it may not be right to say know it all, but you have been in the business for so long. You've been in the business with people who were ahead of you, creative gurus ahead of you, who were there, and you've done a great amount of work. How do you ensure that folks like these, Sukesh, Harshad, Kainaz, they are, and various others across the agency, continue to be creative, continue to produce work which is perhaps better than possibly what you would do, and ensure that it keeps ticking? How do you ensure that the machinery is well oiled? At the same time, you get them to be more creative than ever before?
See, no one individual oils the machine. Today, what the kind of work they are doing is some of the work is much better than what I have done already. So they are the guys who oil the machinery. They are already oiling it every day. There's not one person who oils the machinery. And as you grow, in your experience, I wouldn't even say stature, they have the stature anyway. You will grow the machinery even better. You will probably explore things which I was not even aware of. So I think the spirit of doing things, the spirit of, and you see, these people were very kind to me, and I was almost getting the feeling that an obituary is being read. But see, if they've rode on the shoulders of giants, I have ridden on the shoulders of giants too. And And we all, I have ridden on the shoulders of giants like Suresh Malik and Ranjan Kapoor, who was again a very creative person despite being the head of the office. And together all of us over the years are riding on the biggest giant called David Ogilvy. So everyone rides on something. Everyone, today I'm learning a lot from these people. And these people are learning a lot from their younger people. So I think the entire thing of a culture is there's no one person ensuring, there's no one person oiling the machinery. Everyone is doing it. When one moves on, the other take on a little more responsibility and they pass on a little more responsibility to the ones who are working with them. The entire thing of a culture is not independent, it is not individual dependent. Yes, it's a long journey. Some people have got off the journey in a shorter time, but they did a good job. Some people rode the journey long, and we don't know the destination. So the engine driver will move from one to the other, but the journey will go on, and we'll keep attracting the right kind of passengers that we want to travel with, so that the journey is enjoyable.
I'm going to ask
on a lighter note, Pradyu, on a lighter note, have you walked in camp Piyush Pandey on the Russians? Okay, it's hilarious how many people come up. I think it's commendable that it's great to know that you work with somebody who the world recognizes, and that's the fun part to be, because it's the work end of the day that took you to such great heights. I remember people come and say, "Hey, Piyush, how are you?" and his name being pronounced in different accents. It's a great fun thing to observe. So it's quite commendable. It's great to have somebody at the top who is so well respected and at the same time so approachable. That's what really makes it fun.
I'm going to ask you the next question, and then that's the last question. We could otherwise just go on and on. Is to ask you for your favorite commercial that you've done in these that Ogilvy has done in these last 10 years, and anybody who comes up with it first. But obviously, I don't want to send you the question in advance because it had to be spontaneous. So, which has been your favorite commercial? And I must confess, even as you all think, I must tell you two stories. One is the one thing for me as a journalist that I think about Ogilvy is that each of you is approachable. I have communiques from across the industry coming to me, and it's only in an Ogilvy press release do you actually have the telephone number of the creative head of the project. Okay, and if I ever want to speak to Piyush, Lorraine says, "Hey, listen, you can just call up Piyush and speak to him." I don't speak to any of you all because I say that one needs to respect your time. But I'm saying that's one difference between Ogilvy and various agencies. The very fact that I can speak to you all at or not just me, but somebody who's just say a week into the job can speak to you all and talk to you all. That's amazing, and the fact that that's being facilitated by the agency. So the culture itself is different. Okay, I've given you all enough time to think about.
No.
Piyush, let me give you the tough thing first. Your favorite ad of the last 10 years?
Of the last 10 years? Achha, you're asking me about this, not the COVID times.
No, not the COVID time. But I know it's a very unfair question, but...
yeah, it's very, very difficult. I've always said this, that 10 years is a very long time. 10 years is a very long time, and you can't be comparing apples to oranges, degree of difficulties. I mean, this is a hell of a lot of work. I mean, I will talk about work.
Let me rephrase the question. One commercial that you thought was different, hatke, was something that that you are exceedingly proud of. That also shows the difference of approach of an Ogilvy India, Ogilvy Mumbai.
See, that's a tricky question you've asked me. If we had only one commercial that was hatke in 10 years, then we have a huge problem. our attempt is to make sure that every commercial is एक दूसरे से थोड़ा सा हटके. And it is easier for me to talk about 2000 to 2010, and I can easily say the Zuzus, because they made such a huge phenomenon.
Same here.
Width of work from 10 to 20 is huge, Pradyumna. You have the Savlons there, you have the beauty tips there, you have some great work on Red Label, you have some wonderful work on Mondelez, you have Asian Paints evolving every day. It's very difficult for me to answer that one. And I will actually duck that. It's very difficult for me.
Actually,
and I won't even take the easy way out and say, oh, okay, let me name some public service campaign, so then I'm kind of safe. No, there has been tremendous work. And if you look at the volume of work that has been generated in the last 10 years, it is huge. I mean, you can be surprised all the time. And if I'm not surprised every week by my teammates, then I should start looking for the next change in my life. No.
I must confess, I think it's an unfair question to ask, and I wouldn't even.
It's impossible for me to answer.
But I, one of the lasting memories that I have of your association with your kind of the work that you all have done is been the Google reunion ad. And every time I have seen you watching the ad, and there are, you used to earlier sob, and then you've been teary-eyed. So that has been the kind of the love you have for your work.
Definitely an ad which will make me cry even now. But for me to say that the greatest, if you ask me the top 10 I sat down and listed, that will definitely feature. There's no doubt. And there are, I get this feeling every 15 days. Now you want me to dissect the last 10 years into lots of 15 days. Now that's a difficult task.
Oh, I agree.
And if I was to start naming things to you, I'll go mad. I mean, how excited were Sukesh and me when we did the Fortune Do Chammach. We used to cry there also. How excited I am number of times when Harshad and Kainaz show me Red Label. How many times I roll with laughter when I see the new stuff from Pidlight. What kind of nostalgia I go through when I see Asian Paints. And it's how much like a maniac I laugh when I see 5-star. So it's a hell of a lot of stuff. I really can't answer that. And
tough question.
I agree, and I think it's an unfair question to ask any of y'all, because y'all have done a great amount of work through these years that y'all have all been there at Ogilvy. Ogilvy does a great amount of work. So congratulations once again to this great recognition of the work. And I'm sure the way y'all are going, the next 10 years, we'll possibly be talking about a similar thing 10 years from now. Thank you very much.
As they
Thank you so much for having us.
As they say in Ogilvy, we believe, and in God we trust. Jai Mata Ki.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us over. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Take care, everybody.
Bye, Pradyuman. Have a good day.
You too. Bye. Thanks.